The fog that morning clung to the windows of the Beaumont townhouse like wet wool, muting the clatter of carriages on Grosvenor Square. Constance Harding sat at the far end of the breakfast table, where she had sat every morning for 3 years, eating toast that had gone cold while pretending to read yesterday's Times. The household did not notice her. They never had. She was 31 years old, a spinster companion, a woman whose existence registered only when she failed to perform some small service, fetching spectacles, answering correspondence, remembering which cousin had died and which had merely married badly. Lady Beaumont, her employer, treated her with the absent courtesy one might extend to a particularly loyal houseplant. Constance had been a gentleman's daughter once. Her father had been a minor clergyman with a respectable living in Derbyshire. Her mother a woman of good family who had married beneath her station for love. Both were dead now. Her younger brother had inherited what little remained and promptly drunk it away before dying of pneumonia in a Manchester boarding house. She had no one, nothing. Only this position, secured through a distant connection who had pitied her enough to write a letter of introduction, but not enough to invite her to dinner. The door opened. Lady Beaumont entered in a rustle of black silk. She had been in mourning for her husband these past 18 months and seemed in no hurry to abandon the distinction of widowhood. Behind her came someone else. Constance did not look up immediately. Guests did not generally acknowledge her presence. Miss Harding. Lady Beaumont's voice carried an unfamiliar tremor. I require a word. Constance set down her cup, confusion prickling along her spine. In 3 years, Lady Beaumont had never requested a word that did not involve errands. The other woman moved into view. She was perhaps 60, dressed in mourning as well, though hers was elaborate. Jet beading, black lace, the kind of grief that announced itself in expensive whispers. Her face was handsome, angular, the remnants of great beauty disciplined into severity. Her eyes were gray and sharp as winter light. This is the Dowager Countess of Ashcroft, Lady Beaumont said, her hands twisted together. She has a proposition for you. The Countess studied Constance with the thoroughness of someone appraising livestock at Tattersall's. You are unmarried, she said. It was not a question. Yes, my lady. No family connections of consequence. None. Good. The Countess sat without invitation, her posture military in its precision. I require you to pretend to be my son's betrothed for the duration of a house party. 3 weeks. You will be compensated generously for the imposition. Constance stared. Lady Beaumont looked as though she might faint. I beg your pardon? Constance managed. My son, the Countess said, each word clipped, is the Earl of Ashcroft. He is 38, unmarried, and has refused every introduction I have arranged for the past 15 years. 6 months ago, he was gravely injured in a railway accident near Dover. He survived. His face did not. The room seemed to contract around those words. He has refused to see anyone, the Countess continued. He has shut himself away at Ashcroft Hall and will not receive visitors, will not come to London, will not acknowledge that he still exists in society. I have tried everything. Reason, anger, physicians. Nothing moves him. She paused. But my sister is hosting a gathering at her estate in Wiltshire. She has invited the family. If Piers believes he has obligations to a betrothed, a woman who requires his presence, his protection, he may be compelled to leave his self-imposed exile long enough for me to prove to him that his life is not over. You want me to lie to him. Constance spoke quietly. I want you to save him from destroying himself. The Countess's voice cracked just slightly. He is my son. He is in agony and I cannot reach him. You are unknown in society. You have no connections who might expose the deception. You are presentable, educated, and... Her gaze flicked over Constance with brutal efficiency. You are desperate enough to consider this. It should have been insulting. It was simply true. What would you pay? Constance asked. Lady Beaumont made a small sound of shock. 500 pounds, the Countess said. And a permanent position in my household as companion after the deception concludes, should you wish it. A position with actual standing, a private apartment, independence. 500 pounds. Constance earned 30 pounds a year. 500 pounds could be invested, could provide an income, could mean she would never again have to sit at the end of someone else's table, invisible and irrelevant. Why me? Constance asked. Because you are sensible, the Countess replied. I can see it in your face. You do not romanticize. You do not dream of impossible things. You will not fall in love with my son and complicate matters with genuine attachment. You will play the role, collect your wages, and leave him to recover in his own time. He needs duty, not affection. Obligation, not sentiment. The words landed like stones in still water. When would I begin? Constance asked. Today. Ashcroft Hall stood among the chalk hills of Wiltshire, like something carved from bone and shadow. The carriage journey had taken 6 hours. The Countess had said almost nothing, occupying herself with correspondence written in a hand so precise it might have been engraved. Constance had watched the countryside unfold beyond the window and tried not to think about what she had agreed to. The house was beautiful in the way of things built to withstand centuries: gray stone, mullioned windows, vast chimneys that spoke of ancient hearths. Ivy climbed the eastern wall. The gardens were immaculate, disciplined into geometric perfection. It looked like a place where nothing unexpected was permitted to happen. A butler met them at the door. He was elderly, his face a map of discretion. "My lady, the Earl is in the East Wing. He has been informed of Miss Harding's arrival." "And?" the Countess asked. He has sent no reply. The Countess's mouth thinned. "Show Miss Harding to the blue guest suite. I will speak to my son." Constance was led through corridors lined with portraits of disapproving ancestors and up a staircase broad enough to accommodate a regiment. Her room was larger than any she had ever occupied, furnished in shades of Delft and cream, with windows that overlooked a rose garden just beginning to wake from winter. A fire had been lit. Her single trunk, borrowed from Lady Beaumont, sat at the foot of the bed like an embarrassed apology. A maid appeared. "I'm to help you dress for dinner, miss." "Thank you," Constance said. "What is your name?" The girl blinked, surprised. "Mary, miss." "Has the Earl been seen much lately, Mary?" Mary's hand stilled on the gown she was unpacking. "No, miss, not since he came back. He keeps to his rooms. Cook sends trays up, but they come back half-eaten. Mr. Brennan, that's the butler, says his lordship walks the grounds at night, alone, in the dark. Does he receive correspondence?" "Stacks of it, miss. He doesn't open most, just lets it pile up in the library. A man withdrawing from the world." Constance understood that impulse more than she wished to. Dinner was served in a dining room designed to seat 40. 3 places had been laid at one end of the long mahogany table. Constance wore the best gown Lady Beaumont had lent her, a watered silk in deep green that had been fashionable 2 seasons ago. The Countess appeared in black bombazine, her only ornament a cameo at her throat. The 3rd place remained empty. "He will not come," the Countess said after the soup course had been cleared. "I told him it was a matter of courtesy, that his betrothed had traveled a great distance. He sent word that he was indisposed. Perhaps I should go to him," Constance suggested. "He would refuse you." "Perhaps, but if I am meant to be his betrothed, I ought to behave as though I have some claim on his attention." The Countess studied her across the candelabra. "You are more pragmatic than I anticipated. Very well. The East Wing, 3rd door on the left. Knock loudly. He will ignore you. Then I will persist." "Why?" Constance met her gaze. "Because £500 requires more than a token effort." Something that might have been approval flickered in the older woman's eyes. "Go." The East Wing was darker than the rest of the house, lit only by sconces that threw uncertain light against paneled walls. Constance's footsteps echoed. She found the 3rd door and raised her hand to knock, then hesitated. What would she say? What fiction could she possibly construct that would compel a stranger to accept her intrusion? She knocked. 3 firm raps. Silence. She knocked again. "Go away." The voice was low, rough-edged, resonant even through oak. "I cannot," Constance said. "I have come a very long way. You were not invited. Neither was grief, I imagine. Yet here we both are." A long pause. Then, "Who are you?" "Constance Harding. Your mother has told you about me. She has told me a great many lies." "Which one are you?" Constance pressed her palm flat against the door. "The one who will not leave until you open this door. You will wait a long time." "I have nothing but time, my lord." Another silence. Longer this time. Then the sound of a bolt sliding back. The door opened 6 inches. The room beyond was dark except for firelight. A figure stood in shadow, tall, broad-shouldered, utterly still. "You are not my betrothed," the Earl said. "No," Constance agreed. "But your mother is desperate, and I am poor, and we have struck a bargain. I am to pretend affection and concern. You are to pretend I matter enough to leave this room. We will both perform our duties and collect our wages. I do not expect you to like me. I do not require conversation or courtesy. But I will not return to London and tell your mother I failed because you were too cowardly to face me." The silence stretched so long she thought he might simply close the door in her face. Then he laughed. It was a bitter sound, dry as autumn leaves. "Cowardly. Yes, that is what I am." He stepped into the light. The left side of his face was unmarked, strong-featured, dark-browed, the kind of aristocratic handsomeness that appeared on marble busts. The right side was a ruin. Scar tissue ran from temple to jaw, puckered and livid, pulling his mouth into a permanent half-grimace. His right eye was intact, but shadowed by damaged skin. His right ear was partially gone. Constance did not look away. She had seen worse. Her brother, in his final days, had been almost unrecognizable. Suffering left its marks. Survival was rarely beautiful. "Well?" he said. His voice was cold, challenging. "Run, scream, faint. Do whatever it is delicate young women do when confronted with monsters." "I am 31 years old," Constance said. "I have been a paid companion for 3 years. Before that, I nursed my mother through consumption and my brother through delirium tremens. I am not delicate, and I do not faint. May I come in?" He stared at her. Then, slowly, he stepped back. The room was a gentleman's study. Leather chairs, shelves crammed with books, a desk buried under unopened letters. The fire was the only source of light. He did not offer her a seat. She took one anyway. "You are not what I expected," he said finally. "What did you expect? Someone younger, prettier, more easily manipulated by my mother's theatrical grief." "I am not easily manipulated. I am easily bought. There is a difference." He almost smiled. "Honesty. How refreshing. I cannot afford lies, my lord. I have no family to catch me if I fall. I do what I must to survive." He turned away, his damaged profile toward her. "You should not have come. This will not work. I will not go to my aunt's house party. I will not parade myself before society like some curiosity in a menagerie. My mother's schemes are pointless." "Why?" Constance asked. "You have eyes." "Yes, and I see a man who was injured, not a monster, not a ruin. A man who survived something terrible and is choosing to let it destroy him anyway." His shoulders stiffened. "You know nothing about it. I know that hiding is easier than facing the world's cruelty. I know that isolation feels like safety until it becomes a prison. I know that every day you remain in this room, you prove correct everyone who has ever dismissed you as less than you were." He turned on her, his voice sharp. "You dare?" "Yes," Constance said. "I dare. Because you are paying me to. Because your mother is paying me to. Because this is the role I have accepted, and I will perform it honestly or not at all." He stared at her, breathing hard, his hands clenched. Then he sank into the chair across from her, suddenly exhausted. "What do you want from me?" 3 weeks, 1 house party, polite conversation, the pretense of attachment. "When it is over, you may return here and rot in peace, if that is truly what you wish. But give your mother this. Let her believe she has helped you, and you receive your payment." "Yes." He was silent for a long time, staring into the fire. "What happened to your brother?" he asked finally. "He drank himself to death, slowly, painfully. I watched him waste away because I could not stop him, could not save him, could not even convince him that living was worth the effort." "Did you blame yourself?" "Every day." He looked at her then, really looked, and something in his expression shifted. "You understand?" "Yes. And you still came here, still agreed to this charade. I need the money, and perhaps," she hesitated, "perhaps I am tired of watching people destroy themselves when I can do nothing." He leaned back, studying her. "You are not kind." "No." "Good. I cannot bear kindness. It feels like pity." "I do not pity you, my lord. I am inconvenienced by you." "There is a difference." He laughed again, and this time it sounded almost genuine. "Very well, Miss Harding. I will go to this damned house party. I will pretend you are my beloved betrothed. I will endure my family's scrutiny and society's whispers. And when it is over, you will take your £500 and disappear from my life as though you were never here." "Agreed." "But," he said, leaning forward, his scarred face suddenly very close, "you will not lie to me. Not once. If I ask you a question, you will answer truthfully." That is my condition. And if you ask something I do not wish to answer, then say so. But do not invent pretty fictions to spare my feelings. I have had enough of those. Constance extended her hand. Agreed. He took it. His grip was warm, firm, steadying. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then he released her and stood. We leave for my aunt's estate in 4 days. You will need a wardrobe. I will have my mother arrange it. You will need to know the details of our supposed courtship. We will fabricate a history, something believable. How did we meet? Constance asked. He paused. A bookshop, in London. You were looking for a volume of poetry. I recommended something better. What? Thucydides. You were appalled. I was charmed. Despite everything, Constance smiled. That might actually work. Get some rest, Miss Harding. Tomorrow we begin preparing for battle. She rose and moved toward the door, then stopped. My lord? Yes, thank you for agreeing. Your mother will be relieved. My mother, he said quietly, is a formidable woman who has never accepted failure. She was always going to win this particular war. You were simply her chosen weapon. And you? What are you? He turned back to the fire, his ruined profile stark in the flickering light. Collateral damage. The next 4 days passed in a blur of fittings and fabrications. The Countess had summoned a modiste from London who descended upon Constance with the efficiency of a general organizing a campaign. Gowns, petticoats, chemises, gloves, bonnets, all in fabrics Constance had only ever admired from a distance. The woman measured and pinned and clucked her tongue over Constance's unfashionable thinness until Constance wanted to scream. You are to be a countess, the modiste said, as though this explained the 7 evening gowns currently under construction. You must look the part. Constance, standing on a stool in her undergarments while the woman adjusted a hem, said nothing. She was not to be a countess. She was to be an actress playing one. And when the curtain fell, she would return to obscurity with slightly better clothes and significantly better finances. The Earl, she had learned his given name, was Piers, though she could not imagine using it, appeared each afternoon in the drawing room. They sat across from each other while his mother interrogated them on the details of their fictional romance. Where did he propose? Kew Gardens, Piers said without hesitation. By the Palm House. It was raining. Why there? Because Constance loves botanical illustrations. I thought she would appreciate the setting. The Countess turned to Constance. And you accepted immediately? No, Constance said. I told him I needed time to consider. He gave me a week. Why did you hesitate? Constance met Piers's gaze across the tea service. Because I did not trust that he truly saw me. I thought he might be mistaking loneliness for affection. Something flickered in his expression. And what convinced you otherwise? You waited. You did not press. You did not attempt to persuade or seduce. You simply waited, and that was answer enough. The Countess looked between them, her face unreadable. Good, she said finally. That will do. In the evenings, when his mother retired, Piers and Constance remained in the library. They did not speak much. He read. She read. Occasionally, he would ask her opinion on some passage, and she would answer, and they would argue about Aristotle or Austen or the merits of Gothic novels until the fire burned low. It was the most companionable silence Constance had known in years. On the 3rd night, he asked, What will you do with the money? She did not look up from her book. Invest it. Create an income. Perhaps find a small cottage somewhere. Live quietly. Alone? Yes. Do you never wish for more? Wishes are expensive, my lord. I prefer plans. He was quiet for a moment. You are very like me. How so? You have learned not to hope. She closed her book, marking her place with one finger. Hope is a luxury. I cannot afford it. And yet you came here. You agreed to this absurd scheme. Surely that required some small measure of hope. It required desperation. Hope had nothing to do with it. He smiled, bitter and brief. We are a fine pair then. 2 people pretending it's something neither of us believes in. I did not say I did not believe in love, my lord, only that it is not for me. What is the difference? I believe in many things I will never possess. Beauty, security, peace. That does not make them less real, only less accessible. He set down his own book and leaned forward, his elbows on his knees, his scarred face turned fully toward her. If you could have one thing, anything, what would you choose? The truth? Constance asked. Always. To matter, she said quietly. To someone. to be necessary rather than convenient, to be seen not because I am useful, but because I am myself. And you think you are not? I know I am not. He held her gaze for a long moment. You are wrong. Am I? Yes. You matter to my mother, whether you realize it or not. She chose you because she saw something in you worth trusting. And you matter to me, Miss Harding, because you are the only person in 6 months who has not treated me like an invalid or a tragedy. You have treated me like a man. That is no small thing. Constance felt something crack open in her chest, something dangerous and aching. She looked away. You are paying me to be here. That does not make it untrue. She stood abruptly, needing distance. We should retire. Tomorrow will be long. He rose as well, slowly, his expression unreadable. Yes. Good night, Miss Harding. Good night, my lord. She fled before he could say anything else. They departed for the house party on a morning wrapped in mist. The Countess traveled in the first carriage with her maid. Piers and Constance followed in the second, along with enough luggage to outfit a small theater company. He wore a high collar and a hat pulled low, though Constance suspected it would do little to conceal his scars once they arrived. He sat across from her, silent, his hands clenched on his knees. Are you afraid? She asked. Yes. Of what? Of being seen, of being pitied, of watching people pretend they are not horrified. He paused. Of failing my mother again. You have not failed her. I have given her 6 months of silence and isolation. I have refused every attempt she has made to reach me. That is failure. You survived, Constance said. That is not failure. That is victory. He looked at her, his gray eyes shadowed. You are very determined to reframe my cowardice as courage. I am very determined to reframe your grief as human. Why? What do you gain from it? Nothing. But perhaps I am tired of watching people punish themselves for surviving. He leaned back, studying her. You are speaking of your brother again. I am speaking of both of you, of everyone who mistakes endurance for weakness. And you? Do you punish yourself? Every day. For what? For not being enough, for failing to save him, for still being alive when he is not. Piers was quiet for a long time. Then he said softly, We are both fools then. Yes. And yet, here we are, pretending at love. Pretending at life, Constance corrected. The love is incidental. He almost smiled. Is it? She did not answer. The house was called Marlfield Park, and it sprawled across a valley like something from a fairy story. Golden stone, terraced gardens, a lake that glittered in the afternoon sun. Carriages lined the drive. Servants moved with choreographed efficiency. Voices drifted from the open windows, bright and brittle. Piers's hand found hers as they descended from the carriage. His grip was too tight, but she did not pull away. Ready? He murmured. No. Good. Neither am I. His aunt, Lady Helmsley, a woman of 60 with her nephew's gray eyes and a smile like cut glass, greeted them in the entrance hall. Her gaze went immediately to Piers's face, lingered, then moved to Constance with something that might have been surprise or calculation. Piers, how good of you to come. Her voice was warm, but her eyes were assessing. And this must be Miss Harding. My sister has told me so much about you. All of it scandalous, I hope, Constance said lightly. Lady Helmsley laughed. I suspect we shall get along splendidly. Come, let me introduce you. Everyone is in the drawing room. Everyone was 30 people at least. Constance recognized none of them. They were the sort of people who appeared in society columns. Beautiful, expensively dressed, casually cruel. Conversations stuttered when Piers entered. Eyes widened. Someone gasped, then attempted to disguise it as a cough. Piers stood very still, his jaw tight. Constance stepped closer, her hand still in his. Which one is the worst gossip? She murmured. I want to give them something truly scandalous to whisper about. He glanced down at her, startled. The woman in puce, Lady Thornton. She once ruined a girl's reputation over a misplaced glove. Perfect. Constance turned to Lady Thornton, who was staring at Piers with barely concealed horror, and smiled brilliantly. Lady Thornton, how lovely. Piers has told me so much about you. He said you were the most fearless woman he knew, that you never hesitated to speak your mind, no matter the cost to others. I admire that, truly. So few people have the courage to be intentionally unkind. Lady Thornton's mouth fell open. Someone nearby choked on their wine. Piers made a sound that might have been a laugh. Miss Harding is a truth-teller, he said. his voice carrying across the room. "It is one of the reasons I adore her. Shall we find some refreshment, darling?" He led her away, his shoulders marginally less rigid. "That was unwise," he murmured. "It was necessary," Constance replied. "If they think me strange, they will pay less attention to you. Or they will decide we are both unsuitable and make the next 3 weeks unbearable. Then we will be unbearable together." He looked at her, and for the first time since the accident, something like hope flickered in his expression. "Yes, I suppose we will." The first week was brutal. There were dinners where Constance navigated 7 courses and 9 pieces of silverware while deflecting intrusive questions about her family. There were afternoon teas where women with smiles like knives asked about her trousseau and her settlement, and when she planned to produce an heir. There were evening entertainments where she was expected to play the pianoforte or sing or recite poetry, and she did so with competence but no particular grace, which seemed to confirm everyone's suspicion that Piers had chosen poorly. He endured it with the stoicism of a man facing execution. He spoke when spoken to. He danced with her once, stiffly, while the room watched. He sat beside her at dinner and handed her into carriages and performed every duty expected of an attentive fiancé. But in private, he was unraveling. She found him one night in the library, long after the household had retired. He was standing at the window, staring out at nothing, his reflection ghostly in the dark glass. "You should be asleep," he said without turning. "So should you." "I cannot." She moved to stand beside him. "What troubles you?" "This. All of it. The performance, the lies, watching them watch me, seeing the pity in their eyes. Not everyone pities you. No. Some of them are simply revolted. And does their revulsion matter?" He turned to her, his voice raw. "It should not, but it does." "Why?" "Because I am tired, Miss Harding. Tired of being brave. Tired of pretending this does not hurt. Tired of existing in a world that cannot bear to look at me." Constance reached up slowly and touched the scarred side of his face. He flinched, but did not pull away. "I look at you," she said quietly. "I see you. Not the scars, not the damage. You. You are being paid to say that. I am being paid to lie. This is not a lie." His hand covered hers, pressing her palm against his ruined cheek. "Why are you kind to me?" "I am not kind. I am honest. There is a difference." "Constance, do not," she said. "Do not say something you will regret when this is over. And if I do not regret it, then you are a fool." He smiled, bitter and beautiful. "I have always been a fool." He kissed her. It was not gentle. It was desperate, aching, the kiss of a man who had forgotten what it meant to be wanted. She should have pulled away, should have reminded him this was fiction, contract, performance. Instead, she kissed him back, her hands fisting in his coat, her breath catching as he pulled her closer. When they finally broke apart, they were both shaking. "This changes nothing," she whispered. "Liar. Piers, do not tell me this means nothing. Do not tell me you feel nothing. I will not believe you. What I feel does not matter. At the end of 3 weeks, I will leave. You will stay. We will return to our separate lives as though none of this happened. And if I do not want that, you have no choice. Neither do I. This was the bargain." "Then damn the bargain." "You cannot afford to," Constance said. "And neither can I." She left him standing in the dark. The second week brought a new complication. A woman arrived, Lady Serena Wyndham, a widow of 28 with copper hair and a smile that could melt iron. She had been, according to the Countess, one of the women considered as a potential match for Piers before the accident. She was beautiful, poised, utterly confident, and she looked at Piers as though the scars did not exist. "How wonderful to see you," she said at dinner, seated across from him with the precision of a military flanking maneuver. "I was so sorry to hear about the accident, but you look well, truly." "You are kind, Lady Wyndham." "Not kind, honest." She glanced at Constance, her smile sharpening. "And this is your fiancé. How charming. You must tell me how you met." Constance recited their fabricated history, the bookshop, the argument over poetry, the rain-soaked proposal. Serena listened with the attentiveness of someone cataloging weaknesses. "How romantic," she said when Constance finished, "and so unexpected. Piers, I always imagined you with someone more established, someone familiar with society's expectations. Miss Harding exceeds every expectation I have ever held." Piers said evenly. Of course. Serena's smile did not waver. Still, it must be difficult, navigating these circles for the first time. If you ever need guidance, Miss Harding, do let me know. I would be delighted to help. How generous, Constance said, though I find I manage well enough on my own. Clearly. The word hung in the air like poison. Later, as they walked in the gardens, Constance said, She wants you. She wants the title, Piers corrected. She always has. And before the accident? Before the accident, I might have considered her. She is everything a countess should be. Graceful, connected, ruthless. And now? He stopped walking, turning to face her. Now I cannot imagine spending 5 minutes in her company without wanting to throw myself into the lake. She is beautiful. She is a viper. She is unmarred. Constance, I am stating facts, my lord. She is everything I am not. Everything you should want. Should, he repeated. What a miserable word. He caught her hand, his grip almost painful. I do not want her. I want you. Difficult, stubborn, impossible you. The woman who insults my guests and refuses to lie to me and looks at me as though I am still a man worth knowing. This is not real, Constance said desperately. This is proximity, gratitude, loneliness. It will pass. Will it? It must. Why? Because I cannot stay. Because I have nothing to offer you. Because when this ends, I will return to being no one, and you will realize you mistook desperation for love. You think so little of me? I think you are hurt, and I think hurt people make promises they cannot keep. He released her hand, his expression shuddering. Perhaps you are right. She should have been relieved. Instead, she felt something in her chest collapse. Serena escalated. She appeared at breakfast beside Piers, laughing at his remarks. She partnered with him at cards, her hand brushing his with calculated casualness. She sang at the evening recital, her voice crystalline, her gaze never leaving his face. Constance watched and said nothing. What could she say? Serena was offering him everything Constance could not. Acceptance, status, a future without scandal or complication. On the 13th night, there was a ball. Constance wore a gown of midnight blue silk that made her skin look like porcelain. The modiste had outdone herself. Constance barely recognized her own reflection. Piers was waiting at the bottom of the stairs. He wore black, severe and perfect, his scars stark in the candlelight. He looked up as she descended, and his expression stilled. You are beautiful, he said. I am passable. No, you are extraordinary. She wanted to believe him. She did not dare. The dancing began. Serena claimed the first waltz with Piers. Constance stood at the edge of the ballroom, watching them move together with the ease of people born to this world. They looked right together, matched, appropriate. A voice at her elbow said, You are losing him. She turned. The Countess stood beside her, resplendent in black lace. I never had him, my lady. Do not play the fool. You have held him more firmly than anyone in years. But Serena is relentless, and you are too proud to fight. There is nothing to fight for. This was always temporary. Was it? The Countess studied her. You love him. That is irrelevant. Is it? Constance looked at her. What would you have me do? Declare myself? Humiliate us both? I would have you trust that my son is capable of choosing his own future. And I would have you consider that perhaps you deserve more than the half-life you have resigned yourself to. I am a paid companion. I have no family, no fortune, no connections. I am exactly what I appear to be. And he is a scarred recluse convinced he is unlovable. You are both fools. The Countess paused. But at least you are honest fools. That is worth something. Before Constance could respond, the waltz ended. Piers escorted Serena from the floor, bowed, and turned directly toward Constance. He extended his hand. Dance with me. I have already. Dance with me. She took his hand. They moved onto the floor as the music swelled. He held her properly, at the correct distance, but his eyes never left hers. She asked me to reconsider our engagement, he said quietly. Constance's heart stuttered. What did you say? I told her I would rather live the rest of my life in isolation than spend one day pretending to care for someone I do not love. Piers, I know this was meant to be fiction. I know you agreed to this for money, not affection. But somewhere between the lies and the performance, I stopped pretending. His hand tightened on hers. I love you, Constance, not because you are convenient or because you are here, because you are you. Blunt, and fierce and real in a world that traffics only in artifice. You cannot, and yet I do. I am no one. You are everything. This will not work. Your mother, society, my mother adores you, and society can go to hell. She stopped dancing. They stood in the middle of the ballroom, the music swirling around them, couples spinning past. What are you asking? She whispered. Marry me, truly. Not because my mother demands it, not because it is convenient, because I cannot imagine a life without you in it. You are mad, probably. Will you answer? She looked at him, this man she had been hired to deceive, this stranger who had become necessary, and realized the Countess was right. She was a fool, but so was he, and perhaps that was enough. Yes, she said. Yes, I will marry you. He kissed her there, in front of everyone, and the ballroom erupted in whispers. Constance did not care. Ashcroft Hall, November 1867. The wedding was small. The Countess had wanted something grand, but Piers had refused. Only family, only the people who mattered. Constance wore a gown of ivory silk, simple and elegant. Piers wore gray, his scars uncovered, his expression one of quiet joy. They spoke their vows in the chapel at Ashcroft Hall, beneath windows of medieval glass that threw colored light across the stone floor. When the vicar pronounced them wed, Piers kissed her with the reverence of a man who had been given something he thought impossible. Afterward, there was a wedding breakfast. The Countess wept. Lady Helmsley gave a toast that was only slightly barbed. Serena had declined her invitation. That night, in the room that was now theirs, Piers turned to Constance and said, I still cannot believe you agreed to this. Neither can I. Do you regret it? She touched his face, tracing the line of scar tissue with her fingertips. No. Do you? Never. Not even when society cuts us? When the invitations stop coming? I do not need their invitations. I have you. That is absurdly sentimental. I know. He smiled. You have ruined me, Miss Harding. Lady Ashcroft, she corrected. Lady Ashcroft. He tested the words, his expression softening. Yes, that suits you. They stood together in the firelight, two people who had learned to survive alone, now learning to live together. It would not be easy. The world would not be kind, but they had each other, and that, Constance thought, was more than enough. Outside, the first snow of winter began to fall, soft and silent, covering the hills in white.